And welcome to a special edition of Inside the Podcast, Inside the Distance podcast. I'm nailing that intro here. I'm Aaron the dog. I'm decided to just let Garrett sit this one out after our first interview. Kind of ended up just being you and I talking anyways. I'm here with a special guest, as everybody can see, Miss Gillian The Savage Robertson. Here to share some news that's kind of gotten out. We kind of got out before you even signed the contract, but let's just jump in and talk about it a little bit. How are you feeling about your matchup on October 17th with to be determined, I guess, I'm assuming, location still, with Polyana Vontella?
Oh, I'm super excited. Like you said, it got announced kind of before I got the contract even. I believe on like 3 days ago, Dean told me, he was like, yeah, we're just waiting for her to say yes. We're waiting for like the confirmation that it's happening. And Dean, as far as I knew, we were still waiting for the confirmation, waiting for it. And then I see it online, and then I get a contract. So I was like, oh shit, I guess it is confirmed.
Yeah, I mean, it's really amazing how that works. And I always just figured, like, as I've gotten to know you a little bit and getting a little bit of an inside look, not much, obviously, but like my little bit of an inside look, I was like, tell me like how this happens. Like the news was like everywhere on Twitter before you even signed the contract. You know, I was all excited, like we were going to get to break it here, but you know, it's like what I really care about is the actual matchup though. So, how are you feeling about it? Have you been able to, did you even know who she really was when you signed the contract? With all due respect, like she's like only had a couple fights.
I watched her fight Cynthia Cabello, so I knew just from that matchup, and I guess that shows the level of her grappling there, how Cynthia was able to handle her other ground when she got her down. And other than that, she fought Lauren Mueller, who I don't necessarily think is one of the greatest in the UFC. So she brought her to a pretty close decision too.
Yeah, it was a really, really close decision. And Polyana, we are a betting podcast here, and we absolutely nailed your bet last time out against Courtney Casey. And if I'm being frank with you, I think Courtney Casey presented more challenges in just about every way than Polyana does. And so Polyana hasn't fought since last April, I believe, when she squeaked by Lauren Tiger Lily Princess or something like that, who seemingly every time she gets her arm stretched, it breaks. But you know, with Polyana, I've watched all of her fights. Once this got announced, I went back and watched all of her fights. I watched her fight Pearl Gonzalez and struggle against Pearl. I watched a few other fights, and yeah, she's pretty much a Muay Thai fighter who's fighting in mixed martial arts. And I mean, when I watched the Cynthia Calvillo fight, the no hook choke, that looked really familiar to something I saw a few months ago, or like whenever that was with you. I mean, like
that was the first time I really watched that fight a couple days ago, and I was like, she stole my move. Like she tried to steal my stuff right there. So obviously my details are still a little bit different, and I think I've perfected it a little bit more. But yeah, to see someone go for the choke with no hooks in, and for Polyana to make such, like, I feel like she's too desperate to get up in a lot of times, and that's what's going to happen with me. Is she's going to try to get up too much, and you're going to leave an opening when you do that.
Yeah, and I like how you're saying she's going to try to get up, because we all know she's going down. If this takes place at the apex, she's going down very, very, very quickly, because that 25-foot cage was made for you. If I'm being honest, I mean, the grappling that you displayed again in the Courtney Casey fight was something to behold. There's been conflicting reports on this ranking thing going on. You're ranked 1 second. Then we go to the best website in the world, the UFC.com website, which they update like once a year, apparently. And Molly McCann's still ranked, you know, and I don't think that's exactly accurate. I don't know how much that even matters to you at this point with regards to the ranking. Do you use it as like kind of a motivation? Do you ignore it? Where are you kind of at with regards to the rankings at this point?
I guess like I don't really know how they necessarily worked with the UFC, but there's going to be a certain point where they can't ignore me. I'm going to get ranked, and I think my fighting skills show for that.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I'm looking forward to talking with you more about this fight as it approaches. I love the timing of it too. I know you probably want it a little sooner, but I actually kind of love that it's in October. And it leads me kind of into the next part here, where you're not slowing down. You had a little bump in the road with the submission underground. It got moved to basically August 30th for you. So you're taking on Amanda Lowen, I believe is her name. Kind of a submission underground like legend apparently at this point. So I hear the whispers and the stories from the woods of Portland, and Chael's never gassed a fighter or grappler in his life. So he's got to be honest. What are your thoughts on that? How does that affect how do you prepare for that differently, or is it just kind of another kind of practice within your preparations already?
I guess you should prepare for it differently. I don't, because it's not necessarily my main focus. I feel like it's good competition experience, and it's good to get out there and just see different looks, put yourself in front of a crowd, and put yourself in those like high nerves and high pressure situations as often as possible, so you get used to competing. So obviously with UFC and MMA being my main focus, I predominantly have a type of grappling where I'm working to try to get this type of grappling where I want to be able to get to good striking positions so I can do damage on the ground with ground and pound. So it's really two opposite types of games when you're looking at submission grappling, no-gi jiu-jitsu versus MMA grappling, where, like I said, I'm trying to create space to get my strikes off, where a jiu-jitsu player is going to be a lot tighter because that's when you're going to leave opportunities for submissions. So it's definitely two different worlds, and I should be preparing for it different, but my main focus is the MMA no matter what. So I'm just going to go in there and have fun with it, get some competition experience in.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna go back and forth here. I made sure to properly prepare for this interview by medicating fully, and I instructed you to do the same. So I'm gonna zig and zag here. You're gonna be able to hang with me. We'll see if the crowd can as well. You've had some grappling experience, some grappling competitions in the past. A particular fighter, Caitlin Salmons, her nickname is Ginger, I found out on Tapology. And, Tapology usually has the grappling competitions in there along with the fight records. Your grappling competition with her is mysteriously missing from her page. But back in December of this past year, so around right before the new year, you had a grappling competition with Caitlin Salmons, who is fighting tonight. Can you tell me a little bit about what that event was and how that went? And we'll be providing a link in the description of the video because it is aptly savage.
So I'm hyped for Caitlin tonight. She's a Florida girl who came up, and she's fighting in Invicta, which is one of the bigger shows. So to see any girls from Florida that are coming up doing that is always awesome to see. But we did have the chance to compete against each other, and it was Lely Code in Orlando. And I believe it was supposed to happen like once or twice before that. And I got like a UFC fight, then she got an Invicta fight. So it kept on having to get canceled and canceled again. And then it had to be like a minute long, I think the match ended up being. I think it was supposed to be a 10-minute match. And I was able to shoot in. She went for a guillotine, and I was able to get off of Von Flu. And the ref wasn't necessarily on top of the situation fast enough. So
no, she was snoring. She was like snoring. And I've seen that a few times, but she was snoring. Her eyes were in the back of her head. And watching your reaction to it, even you were like a little bit surprised by your like heavy blanketness. Like you were even like, oh my God, like, did I like kill her? Like you like had a little moment there. And the way the ref took her off you, he dropped her like straight on the back of her head. So she got a little TKO on top of it. And then like, he's like, I got it. And like started raising her legs. But yeah, so I mean, you've had experience with some, obviously some grappling competitions. Also, Dave would kill me if I don't remind you that podcast number 300 is coming up. So, clear your calendar for that one because, Dave will, so there you go, Dave. I got you there. So don't worry about it. And while we're at it, Dave also had a question for you. So we're going to, zig and zag here, and I'm not going to keep you super long. I know you have a lot going on. You've already trained once today. You were in there super early in the garage working with Dean and everybody, and I want to talk about that too. Speaking of Dean, Dave wants to know, not that you'd ever annoy Dean, but what is Dean's biggest pet peeve?
Oh, it is me.
Easy enough. Easy.
No, actually, I'd probably say Jose Shorty Torres over me. He wins that battle.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. And yeah, Jose, he's got a fight coming up here pretty soon. He's going to be in a flyweight tournament. So, it's good to see that you two are always kind of working each other. And Dave says the money is in the mail, whatever that I'm thinking he's referring to with regards to the bet coming up on you. So I think after your last fight, the secret's going to be out though. We got you at close to even money last time, which means that I think this next time out, I'm not sure we're going to have that luxury. You have another strawweight coming up and deciding to test out flyweight. And Sean Shelby decides that you're the person like who's good to test him out against. I mean, I think you're honestly one of the toughest matchups in the 125 division, top to bottom. I'm not sure why they keep testing out these strawweights against you. Courtney Casey is now back to referring to herself as a UFC strawweight. I don't know if you've seen any of her quotes, but she's like on a metabolism biometric thing to get back down to 115 and like all these delicious meals she was having. You're taking food out of people's mouths, because I think that Polyana is also going to realize that 125, it's a huge difference. What are your thoughts on so many girls seeming to think that it's just, it's 115, 125. I'll make that move once I struggle at 115. Is it that simple, or what are your thoughts on that? Because you really made the jump ahead of time. You could have still been sucking out to get down to 115, I'm sure, for a while. Now, obviously, as I can see, when you barely can stay in my frame anymore with your, the guns out here. So, but a few years ago, you could still make 115 if you like killed yourself, but you knew. So, like, what are your thoughts on a lot of ladies deciding to do that and make kind of light of going up to 125?
I don't necessarily think a smaller weight cut is ever a bad thing. Like, Dean's always telling me, he's like, we want to be focused on the fight week, not cutting weight. So whenever I start, like, I started fighting when I was like 18, and then once I turned 20, I started growing. Like, I was growing up then, and so I went from walking at 115 to walking at like 135, 140, and it just got to the point where it's like, even there's some girls who walk 135, 140, and they make 115 still, but I don't want to put myself through that. I'm not trying to kill myself like that. I want to have a long career, and I think smaller weight cuts are better, so they can keep giving me these 115ers, but it's just adding to my records.
Yeah, exactly. I was about to say these girls who are sucking down to 115 aren't breaking finishing records at 25 years old. Like, just a fresh 25 too. You're like barely, you're a baby. Like, and it's just like every other woman ranked. I've said this a million times, but I say it all the time because I think people just don't understand this. Every other woman ranked in the top 15 is over 30. Every single one, except for you, which it sometimes you're in the rankings, sometimes you're not. I've seen reports. It really doesn't matter, because it's just who's in front of you. That's who you're focused on. And so, I'm really looking forward to you in that matchup with Polyana. I really do think that there aren't any easy fights in the UFC, of course. Everybody's worked hard to get here, and everybody's improving. She's had, over a year and a half now to improve, allegedly, or something. So we'll see what she's done. I know you're not going to take her lightly, and you fight your fight. I really appreciate that, and it's you. The reason that you were able to finish that last time is because you stuck to your game plan the whole way through. And I know you didn't love your last fight, but you're going to get the punch, I think, Polyana a few more times in the face before you put her to sleep. But I am still throat cuddles all day. You're kind of spoiling it also by saying, I know you'll take the finish or win however you can get it, but you envision probably a submission win based on what you've been able to pick up from Polyana, I assume.
Oh yeah, all these girls can know I'm coming for their throat, and I'm still gonna get it, no matter what. I hop onto every opportunity that you give me. You're gonna make a mistake. It's just my pressure, and then obviously, like I said, I've been working a lot on my strikes on the ground, trying to get those off. So every fight, I hope you guys see me better and better at that, and I'm able to do more damage and get away kind of from my no-gi jiu-jitsu and more into an MMA grappling.
Hey, you know what? I think that, I just really, again, I think that your preparation, it showed in the last performance. I glad I have a few months to emotionally build up to the next fight. I'll be able to handle the grappling like fine. Like that's just going to be like an enjoyable get to see you shine, and just in a different way. But your fight, the last fight was insane for me. I can still remember like watching you make weight as I was crossing the street. I almost got hit by a bus as I was watching on my phone as I was crossing the street, and then watching like the entire fight. And so really looking forward to it. Just one more question for you before I let you go, because you've got plenty of other things to do. You're going to train tonight again with Dean. How's Rob doing? And how's Zoo?
Oh, these are the important questions here.
Yeah, and take your time. This is I try to warm you up first, get you to trust, and then I hit you hard here. So Rob the dog, and I call your cat Zoo. It's the only way I referred to you, but thick Zoo. So tell me about how they're doing.
They're doing great. Rob went for a walk this morning. Didn't get to go to the dog park this morning. A little bit rushed before training, but we still got a decent walk in, and because she's herself.
She's staying thick. She's staying thick.
Yeah, thick and aggressive.
All right. Well, I won't keep you too much longer here. I know that you got some other stuff going on, and I just appreciate you coming on with me. You know that you're always welcome on here, and it's funny because like I shouldn't reveal this on air, but we talk a little bit off air. So it's like funny when I come on here and I have to act like a host for a second, because so I appreciate it as always. Gillian, we'll be watching you. August 30th is the Submission Underground fight out in Portland, correct?
Correct.
All right. Yeah. So that will be on UFC Fight Pass. So make sure to check that out. And then October 17th to be announced against Polyana Bottella. I hope it's on the main card. If it's not at this point, it better be the featured prelim. Otherwise, like I'm really confused. Sometimes they'll take a better fight and put on the prelims. But either way, you don't care about any of this. This is all the stuff that as a non-fighter I care about. So thank you so much for coming on today. Thank you everybody for joining in the chat. We had a ton of viewers today, and I know they're not here for me. So we all are rooting for you, Gillian. Yeah, thank you so much for coming on. Dave is, lopping some phrase that we all agree with here. We're looking forward to seeing what you do next. And yeah, take care. We'll see you on episode 300 of Fight Bananas coming up too. But we'll talk to you soon. All right, Gillian?
All right, thank you.
See ya. And that will do it. We will be back tonight at 8 p.m. for our regular breakdown show. Garrett will be joining me as well. So, yeah, thank you, everybody, for joining in here. We got to catch up with Gillian a little bit. Again, August 30th, Submission Underground. And then October 17th is her fight against Polyana Bottella. And also tonight, Invicta. Live on Fight Pass. We may make a few leans as we talk about it tonight, as Garrett and I talk about it, but we'll be focusing on the UFC on Saturday. So thank you everybody for tuning in. This is like the biggest audience I've had. So appreciate you all, and we'll see you tonight. Let's cash those checks and make that money.